To end this Training Your Dog month, I wanted to talk in more depth about how dogs learn, really getting into some of the nitty-gritty details of that so that you can better understand your dog and therefore make it a heck of a lot easier problem solving the best strategy for training them. What are their individual breed differences, their hereditary traits that they come with that may make certain exercises more challenging for them or certain exercises easier, that may make certain techniques of rewarding more effective or may make those things more difficult. So for example, if I'm working with a Border Collie, I know that that dog is going to be very motion sensitive. They're going to be a dog that I'm probably going to be struggling with distractions with things that are moving. So I want to look at those things from the beginning, knowing what that dog was bred for and the type of job it was meant to do. Those instincts all along the way were kind of manipulated through breeding. So you take a dog with a really strong chase drive and you breed that to another dog with a really strong chase drive, and you've got puppies that love to chase things, and you so on and so forth keep building upon that. So there are certain behaviors and traits that those dogs are just going to come with because of the way they were bred and manipulated to do certain jobs. So when you get a puppy, you want to look at what they were created for so that you get kind of an idea of some of the things that are going to be harder for you and easier for you. So let's take a look at a little video of an experiment that I've run just demonstrating the differences of just natural breed characteristics and strengths that make a certain exercise easier for one breed of dog over another. So in this next exercise, I've taken 2 treats, laid them out spread apart to test if the dog remembers that there's 2 out there and their efficiency in finding these treats. So what you see with Emily the Border Collie is that she doesn't naturally know there's 2 treats out there. She kind of just runs out generally trying to find, she knows there's a treat out there, so she runs out and she kind of scouts around and finds a treat and then comes back. At this point, completely forgetting that there's another treat out there.
Okay, we'll get it.
As you can see, Butters, the Golden Retriever, goes straight to both treats. He goes straight to the last one I laid and then marks his way across to the first one that I put out there. And this is with no training. This is the first time they've ever done the exercise. But that's demonstrating to you the difference between a breed that was bred to mark birds and to go and fetch multiple birds. So to him, it's a very natural trait to have a very long visual memory and to be able to go and find those 2 marked spots. Versus the Border Collie, who in its line of work has their eye on their job the entire time, so they don't really need a long developed visual memory. So it just is a fun little exercise to show you such a vast difference in the way 2 different breeds would approach a task like that.
Get it.
I also need to take into account a dog's learning style. So in the next video, you'll see an example of Emily's learning style and how unique it is to a lot of dogs, in that she is a visual learner, so she actually learns by watching other people and dogs do things. So in the following video, you'll see this is right after her watching Butters do the exercise.
Okay.
Kind of fun to go into that into more detail beyond the breed specifics to try to figure out how that individual dog learns. It's also important to know that all dogs individually have different aptitudes for learning, and there are so many factors that influence that, not just their breed genetics, but also their early environment, how they were raised as puppies. So a puppy that started very young, learning operant conditioning, doing tricks, learning behaviors, and doing all those things when they're still very young is going to create a dog that's a better problem solver and more apt to try things for you. So if I get a puppy from the shelter that's very, very young, I know I'm going to dive right into those things, and I'm going to have a different learning style in a dog than a dog I adopt from a shelter at a year old that maybe has been discouraged a lot from trying new things and hasn't had that kind of training aptitude developed within them. So you can have a lot of variances even within each individual dog depending on what their early start was. And as well as genetic differences, early environmental differences, you also have just individual differences in who we all are as our personality, and all those things come into play. In the following videos, you'll actually see a fun little thing with two siblings. These are sisters. They were brought up in an identical environment, have had most all the same experiences, and you can see even a difference within the two of them, how they approach this. One of them is completely in the dark and has no idea what this whole thing is, and the other one is game to give it a try, and while it doesn't come as easy to her as it did with the Golden Retriever, she definitely is in the game and tries to sort it all out. I want to actually go into some more details and try to sort if I can figure out some of that dog's individual learning styles down even more. So, for example, is this dog a doer or a thinker? In my experience, dogs tend to kind of fall in one category or another. They're a dog that's just impulsive and tries, and they learn things through trial and error. Or is it a dog that kind of sits back and takes something in and tries to figure it out and then does? I want to know the differences between those, because in general, a dog that's a doer that tries, and that's how they sort things out, is going to need more successful repetitions of a behavior before I would consider that behavior that they're really getting it and that they're learning. So a dog that's a doer might do something correctly 3 times in a row simply because they're trying it and they don't really get it yet, versus a dog that's a thinker and they've done it 3 times in a row. To that dog, that may mean they've got it nailed, right? That also tells me in general what a dog's tolerance level is for repetition. So a dog that is a doer and goes and enjoys the repetitions, I'm going to be able to try that thing more times in a row without running into trouble than if I have that dog that kind of gets something in 2 or 3 repetitions. They might then start to wonder why we're doing it over and over again, and they might start to assume they're doing it wrong, and then they might start doing an entirely different thing even though they were on the right path, and now you've kind of gone down the wrong road. So I want to know, is my dog's stress response to shut down, to stop trying, to walk away, to move away, to kind of stress down in their behavior, or are they a dog that stresses up? Dogs that stress up can be very confusing for people to understand how to work with, because this dog, when they don't understand something, sometimes they just throw more at you, or they get really busy, or they get frantic. Maybe they try harder and they just kind of ramp out of control, or maybe they get really wired and really kind of high strung and get vocal, or get kind of kinetic with their energy while you're trying to work with them. And a lot of people take this as them being naughty and them being very disobedient, when a lot of times it's just that they don't understand what you want. So they kind of try to change the subject, and they do other things and try to get your mind on something else. So you want to know that about your dog, so that while you're training them, if you start to see that change, if you start to see them slowing down and shutting down and avoiding eye contact and wanting to walk away, okay, I'm maybe pushing a little bit and I need to back off and give this dog a little breather. Or if they're starting to get frenetic and they're starting to kind of throw too many things at me and they're starting to get ramped up, maybe we need to take a break to let their energy level come back down, and I can take it a little easier and try to make it broken down into some easier steps for them to understand when I come back at it. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this training month and all the training videos on Tuesday. I will be continuing to release videos, although like I said, the content is going to shift and change a bit. We will continue to do training videos. I have a long list of things that people have asked for. First on tap will be a greeting video. It's just that it's winter now and there aren't a lot of people out on the trails for me to get examples, video examples for you. So once the weather's a little nicer and people are out on the trails, I will for sure do a video on teaching your dog to be a polite greeter. For now, work on those stays and those come commands, because it really is the key ticket for that particular behavior, but I will go into more detail of other things that you can do to strengthen that particular technique.